Hi everyone, this is our podcast Waffles at SSHL. My name is Isak. Joining us today we have Hamzah and Robert. So let's get into it. Hamzah, how has your time been at SSHL, especially in the IB system?
See, coming from a background of Cambridge, where the study base is you read off books and you put it in tests, and that's what your final grade comes. It's changed because it's given me much more freedom to having my own opinion on a subject. Example, we learn directly from the teachers, not from books, and books are a side help for us. And with that,
You mean here or back in London?
no, over here.
Yeah.
And back in London, what we would do is we would literally get, let's say, page 20 to page 30, study from that. Or questions from there will be on the test.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we would learn. And the teacher would just be there to read the book to us. So even if we didn't have a teacher, we would still get the same knowledge, like, processed to us, which makes it so much worse in the fact that you can't have your own opinion on anything.
Yeah.
And you just have to know what's written in the book. And with IB, it's so much more open to any ideas, along with the teachers. They're so much more helpful.
I agree. It allows you to think more critically because what you study for is not going to be word by word put on the test. They ask you critical questions where you can expand in other ways other than just facts that you learned by a book or by a teacher.
Isn't that unfair though? Because I think some people are naturally better at others at formulating their answers to make them look like more prestige, you know?
Yeah, that is true.
But that would come across as levelment.
But that's a skill to learn though.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and that's
we're
how,
learning
that's
that
how
skill.
classes are distributed with different, and the teachers know based on your grades what level you're at. That's why, example, in math we have this investigation, so Justin knows where we are on grade 9
Yeah.
math.
Justin is our math teacher, by the way.
So related to this school, what about you guys? You came
Yeah,
from...
we both came from the Swedish system, me and Robert. Well, it was quite similar there. However, to be honest, I feel like the system was really bad. You learned nothing. The teachers couldn't help. For example, in math, I knew more than my math teachers. Like, they didn't know simple math. And like, why are you a math teacher then?
Yeah, the teachers that I had were just disappointing. I didn't learn much there, to be honest. It was mostly just repeating things that I had already learned on my own. And I just think it was like a poor system overall. It was just like reading a book, a teacher tells you something, you have to remember it. It was based on remembering things, not actually learning about the things.
Yeah, I remember for biology tests, you had to read 40 pages, remember every single one of them, and those questions would come up on the test.
So for you, would you think that IB coming to SSHL built you to be who you are? And if you continued in that same Swedish curriculum, so you went to Samtulo, how would you feel?
Look, for this almost 3 years, I've never thought I was going to learn this much. I came here to SSHL as a little child. I knew nothing. I was not well behaved. But now I've learned so much. And if I went to another Swedish school, I think I would be the same as I was in 7th grade.
Yeah, me too. In my old school, I was not doing well in school. I didn't care enough. I didn't put in any work. So I think this school and the IB system saved me as a teenager in my grades and how I behave, because back then I had no priorities. I never put school in front of anything else. So I would push out bad grades for every test. I would barely study. I would do everything last minute. But now that I came here, I started working a lot harder and I started learning a lot more than I would back then.
So you're giving all this positive feedback about IB. How would you feel knowing that the IB, this school, runs on something called the IB Learner Profile, which bases students on how they should feel about school?
Well, to be honest, I don't think many people understand IB Learner Profile. Even we as students in the IB system, because like what is it's like an image of few words like communicating.
It's about like
I think
thinking,
it's-
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
It's attributes that the schools like try to strive for us students to have. So it's like some attributes that they want us as IB students to have. So
then you-
open-minded.
But then
and
you can think
balanced.
about how some teachers take into account. Example, Tanya, our English teacher. She
Yeah, great
focuses on
teacher.
that so much.
Yes.
Great teacher, amazing teacher. That's probably why. And then on the other hand, you can think of another teacher, Sue. Never spoken about anything
No.
of like that.
Yeah, so
once.
it's also a great teacher though.
And thinking about the school really wants to prioritize these attributes in the students in the school, but half of them, maybe 90% of them, don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, they would know like in the back of their head because they've seen pictures on the walls. Apart from that, no one's memorized off head. There's no way anyone would like.
Wait, Robert, can you get a picture of the IB learning system
Yeah.
profile? I mean, okay. Like, is it just the words, or aren't there like more? Because I feel like
There are descriptions of every word. But
yeah, it's just a definition.
yeah, but the thing is, I don't feel like they teach us what the IB learner profile is. They go on to mention the IB learner profile.
Yeah.
So teachers would say, "Oh, use the IB learner profile."
And like,
for
what's the
this."
difference between the IB learner profile and the ATL skills?
ATL skills? I think there's quite a big difference.
Again, Tanya, she really focuses on those to put them
Yes.
into her students and
Yeah.
motivates us with those, thinking that after every lesson she would say, "What advances to learning did you use today?"
I think the approaches to learning are more about being an effective learner, while the IB learner profile is more about how you are as a person, and how you treat others at the school.
Yeah, because here in IB, that's maybe why they use this IB learner profile, because they want you to focus to learn all these communicating, like thinking, all this stuff, researching.
Reflecting.
Well, yeah, and well, in maybe the Swedish system, all you have to learn is like knowledge. That's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they don't care if you're good at researching or thinking, reflecting, whatever. You just have to know knowledge.
Which isn't really gonna help you in life, to be honest.
No.
No,
Thinking
not at
about
all.
Why would you want to know if you're gonna be an architect? Why would you want to know how a cell is formed and know it so perfectly off heart that you can, 10
Yeah.
years later, you can still read the line exactly how it was on that page. That's how they present studying to children in those kind of curriculums.
But that's how it always has been. I don't think schools are adapted to what students actually want to become in the future.
What schools?
Huh?
What schools?
Yeah, depending
All
on what
school,
schools.
in my opinion, it's like in universities, you can go to a school that maybe focuses more on perhaps IT or maybe like plane mechanics. But here in the lower 9 years of school, it's all the same system, and it's not built for different people.
Yeah.
So it's just pushing information into us that most of us are never going to use.
Do
in
you
life.
guys think that switching to like a gymnasium that focuses on something, like maybe if you want to become a chef, if you want to make food, do you think going that program in the gymnasium is good, or do you still think you like shouldn't learn math and all that? Or
Well, in reasonably speaking, everyone should know basic knowledge of subjects that they learn from these 9 years.
Yeah.
They have.
what
to
about
get
the
that-
gymnasium?
They have to get that basic knowledge. But then in gymnasium, example, next year for us, we have to choose 6 subjects, 3 which we prioritize, which will be for our future career, and 3 on the side. And that 3 on the side is just to give you basic knowledge on subjects you like. But thing with gymnasium is they want you to focus on what you want to
Yeah.
become. And that shows that they do care as long as you register what you want to become.
True.
And it's based on your effort on how far you go to achieve what you want. Thinking about dropouts, that's their choice. They registered, but then they dropped out because they didn't find interest in it, maybe, and maybe that subject that they took wasn't for them.
And I think maybe that the first 9 years of school are just basic common sense that you should have before moving into the more expanded subjects. So if you want to take that career path, then you can expand on that through the right gymnasium, through the right system. But I think maybe those 9 years are crucial for having that common knowledge that maybe allows you to change your job if you don't become what you actually aspire to be. So I think it just allows for an opportunity
Yeah.
for other jobs.
Okay. So wait, we're going a bit off topic. I think going back to what we talked about earlier, one thing I've not understand is like if you want to become a teacher, like let's say the teacher, they don't have the best income. Like if you want to become a teacher, it's because you're really passionate about your job, like really passionate about your subject. But one thing I haven't understand about the Swedish teachers is that like none of them were passionate about their subject. Like they were just there to get their income. And I think that changed here in IB because all the teachers are so passionate to their subject.
Would you think that before when Sweden was a country where it was just Swedes, do you think that people took advantage of their jobs and job standards were much lower than they are now?
Lower.
Standards for the people, let's say now, if you wanted to become an non-entrepreneur, let's say an accountant, you would have to have your CV with multiple level of knowledge, education.
Yeah.
But before, maybe you just had to have one like you listed down. Oh, I finished St. Per school, and they would allow you in the job, thinking that they wouldn't really test your knowledge on the subject.
And I think that's probably the case, but I still think that today we have teachers in these Swedish systems that don't have a burning passion for doing what they want to do.
Again, that's the Swedes.
Okay, we had a pause there. A teacher just came into the room, so let's continue.
I was saying again with the Swedish system. That's Swedish. If you think about our teachers, because we are in the IB NYP, how there's a big difference. None of us have experienced the Swedish system at this school, but you can tell there's a big difference between how the teachers approach their learning, their student
Teaching,
how they give off their lesson.
Yeah, because in my old school, like my teacher, she always came late to class. And when we came 1 minute late, she marked us late. But she could come like 1 hour late and like didn't care. And yeah,
I
like
think they have the care for it, to be honest, in those lower schools.
Again, that brings up the IB learner profile because there's one aspect on it that says caring, which they want to implement the IB learner profile into the students to then grow up knowing all these skills. Example, open-mindedness, reflectiveness, being balanced, knowledgeable, being an inquirer.
yeah, because I remember in my old class we were gonna do ice skating, and a guy raised his hand and say like, I don't have any shoes, like ice skating shoes. And then I said, because it was true, like I said, yeah, I saw on stadium they had a sale. And my teacher, she got so mad at me because like you can't believe that he you can't assume that he has money. And like she called my parents saying that I was rude to him because I said that stadium had a sale on ice skates, and she got mad because I assumed that he had the money to buy them. Like that's. Just giving him an advice.
Yeah. Well, again, that comes to the teachers not thinking and having open mind, having an open mind about all the students, and their opinions. They're just there, give whatever they're told to give to the students, get their money, gone.
I think the IB learner profile is what tells us apart from the Swedish students, because they don't learn the same way that we do. They don't evolve on their personalities. They just do work and send it in to get good grades, while we evolve as humans and people in the school system, and they focus on other things, not just putting in the right work. So we actually become better people, and we have these skills for our future, so we have it easier to do our jobs, such as research that we do, being open-minded, being caring, risk takers. I don't think these are any topics that the Swedish system focus on at all for their students.
Alright, thinking about us now, forget the Swedish system, would you think that if the teachers are more like example Tanya and give off the IB learner profile fully to all of us, like they really focus on it and push it to us, that we understand it and know what it is, and in every situation we think about it before we apply it in our real life situations, do you think when it gets to that point, would it benefit you as a person?
Yeah, because it takes more than one time to explain the IB learner profile for us to actually understand what it's all about. Like, a teacher can't just mention it once and think that we're gonna know, like, the IB learner system, what it's all about. It's all just keep on repeating, telling us what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what happened to us, because we never got a formal introduction to what the IB learner profile is or how it works. I do not remember, I can't recall learning about what it actually means and what they're trying to achieve with.
Yeah, but
teaching
thinking
us.
about it, like, it makes
Learner
sense, the IB learner profile.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
doesn't make sense.
It's, let's say
Wait, it doesn't make sense. Is
no,
that what-
it does.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Let's say it wasn't called IB learner profile. Let's say it was just a list of attributes that people should have in life. Would you think?
I think that is what it is.
Is that all you need, though?
Could be more.
Do you need something else than this?
Reflective, balanced, knowledgeable, open-minded, inquirers, communicators, thinkers, principled, caring, and risk-takers. I think there is always more to life,
But these are just basic aspects of
Yeah.
people, like us human beings, that we should have. And I think if people don't teach children about these skills in life, they wouldn't have the knowledge. Let's say communicators, people wouldn't be. Let's say that people were going to start a podcast when they're 20 years old and they didn't have these skills. They wouldn't They wouldn't know how to communicate in the proper manner.
Yeah.
In a sense, compared to people who have learnt this and know how to think on the spot. They're knowledgeable communicators, open-minded about every situation, reflective and balanced. They would have such a more higher advantage on the person who hasn't learnt these skills.
And I think skills just let us advance more in, if there's a question, for example, or if there's a fact, someone who would go in the Swedish system, for example, they would acknowledge that fact and see it how it is. But I think learning the IB learner profile, we would question more things in life than just see them as they are. I think that allows us to expand more when we think.
What's your guys' favorite? Like, not the ones you're best at. Like, what's your favorite as one of these IB learner profile attributes? Mine's open-minded
I was
because
going to say that.
yeah. What about you, Robert?
I don't know. What is the being open-minded to you, Isaac?
Yeah, because like let's say someone in the Swedish system, like if someone comes from this weird country, you know, like have these weird cultures, they're probably gonna laugh at them and thinking like, what are they doing? But we're open-minded. We're all humans. We're all like
Accepting.
yeah, we accept everyone. And
You have the ability to put yourself in other people's shoes as well as see from their perspective.
Yeah.
Like you can have an open mind to every situation, opinion, person, stuff like that. That's why I think open-minded is the best.
Yeah, and like in subjects like English and Swedish, we've talked more about life than actually learning English as a subject or Swedish as a
But I
subject.
still think that it's taught me more, like better things than knowing how to spell 12 words. Like, it's better to know things in life.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention any names, but before we had English teachers, all we did was sitting in our lesson quietly, and then we have to like go to this website and like read a news article.
Watch a news video.
Yeah, and then that lesson ended.
And you could compare that to Tanya, our current English teacher,
Yeah.
who is so much more responsive to the students, as well as, again, open-minded to how we feel about the lesson. Like, sometimes she says, I know it's going to be boring, but we can get through this. And then next lesson, example, she gives us the opportunity to work outside when it's warm weather.
I think Tanya is very open-minded to how we learn as students as well.
I think she's one idol in a sense of she takes these to acknowledgement, the IB learning profile, and she uses them in her everyday life. So she is one, I don't know I can't think of the word, but let's say idol. Like, she's one role model, that's the word, of these attributes. And let's say everyone else takes these attributes into account as she did, they would turn out like her.
Yeah, because some teachers, they have like favorite students, but I feel like Tanya, as long as like you show respect to her, like everyone's gonna be her favorite student. Like, she writes so long reflections, and like how good you are, and like what you're good at, and like what you have to think about.
Improve on.
Yeah,
so
improve on.
basically saying that she's a good example of what an IB teacher should be like.
Yeah,
taking
exactly.
these things into account. So attentions to learning and the IB learner profile. I think those are standards that the teachers have to go by. But I don't think all teachers here take those things into consideration.
Yeah, but almost all our teachers are great.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sue, Educate, Anna,
Kent,
And
Mikkel. Yeah, like all the teachers are great.
for example, teachers who really focus on the learner profile, really implement life into their knowledge, like real life in the future. Example, if you were to come late to a class, they would say, oh, the student would say, oh, sorry I'm late, miss, and she would say, oh, well, it's no problem for me, but you've missed your plane.
Yeah.
So she really implements life and gives you that real life situation. If you came late to class, if you came late to the airport, you would have missed your plane.
Yeah.
That's your own fault. It's no one else's fault.
Yeah, like you're the one who's supposed to say sorry to yourself and not to the teacher. And by the way, do you guys think that we have an advantage compared to the Swedish students, let's say, like going further in life?
I think we do. But on the other hand, I think that the Swedish children, I'm not going to be biased to any opinions, but I think that the students there really accept that kind of way of teaching, that system, and they like not evolve, but they change themselves to where I find the Swedish system really laid back and relaxed, and they would change themselves to be the same way. Example, not study for a test because the teacher doesn't stress it enough. Let's say it's a really important test and they say you need to study, and compared to like that's what our teachers would say, and compared to them,
us as IB learner students, we would adapt to like this system being quite difficult, and they actually bring in like real life situations into teaching us, and they teach us how important it is to actually do the work that you have to do.
Yeah, because here in the IB system, like we as students, we're polyglot, most of us, or almost all of us, and we have learned so much more about life, and talking to Swedish students, we know more than them, knowledge
in general.
wise, like in math, in science, in INS.
Do you think maybe having these learner profile skills makes it easier for us to learn things in school? Does it make it easier for us, because we like obviously have more knowledge than some of the Swedish students, but why do we know so much more than them? Is it the level we're being taught at, or how we're being taught, how we are learning?
In my opinion, I don't think it's to do with the learner profile. I think it's just the approach to how we're being taught and how our mindsets have changed to how we accept that knowledge.
Yeah, but our mindsets are based off like these attributes that the school wants us to have, that the IB system wants us to have.
Yeah,
So I think they change us as a person.
yeah, we know what to focus on because in English we usually write our main, our best IB learner profile attributes. So let's say like like I'm best at communicating, but I need to practice more on research. I'm really bad at researching. Then you know what to focus on.
The next time, yeah.
Yeah.
Same with that. There's also one with reflective, how we would reflect after every lesson, like you said, and say what you're bad at and what you're good at, and that gives you the mindset that, oh, I need to improve on this. And let's say you get into a habit of always writing the same, I can improve on this. You would at one point you would just realize like, oh, I've for so long I've needed the urge to improve on this, but I haven't. So now is the time. So let's say you're outstanding in every attribute except being open-minded.
If you reflect on that,
And if you reflect on that, you can get to get the mindset that, oh, I need to change that.
Speaking of reflecting, I feel like the IB system is all about reflecting. What do you guys think about that? Like all we do, we have to reflect. Reflect.
I think
I'm sure there's a good reason behind it. Like, it may be excessive and repetitive that we have to reflect on everything that we do, but I think that it also makes us realize that, oh, maybe we have to improve on these things and these things, so that we know for the next time that, oh, I should take this into consideration
like
when I do the work.
reflecting comes under organization, and that's what makes the school different from other schools. Not just the teaching system, the fact that they want you to go back, like you said,
Yeah.
to go back to what you did, see what you did wrong, and change that for the future. Whereas, let's say, in my old school, how I said that we just read a couple of pages and we would be tested based on that. What did you do wrong? Maybe not study enough, maybe not memorize the page enough.
Yeah.
Whereas now you could say that, oh, I was too laid back towards it, or I didn't open my mind when the teacher was teaching that kind of that aspect of the subject.
Yeah, because at the moment, when you have learned something and then like you have to reflect on it, it's so annoying. But like going forward, you forget what you learn about. So it's so good to go back and see what you reflected. What can I improve on? What have I learned?
I think it's a good way to also memorize what you've actually learned, so you go through it again, like when you're writing it. So like, oh yeah, we learned about this, and I think that's just like learning it just another time. So like, do you think reflecting is a punishment or more of like it gives us a sort of freedom?
I don't think it's a punishment, because you might feel that way, but it's really just helping you. If you don't do it, that's your own loss, because you're expanding on what you did in that previous whatever you're reflecting on, and you're writing what you did good. So you know that you can improve on that, but you're good at that, and then you know what you did bad, which you know, okay, for next time I need to do this.
Yeah.
That's not really a punishment, to be honest, because it's only helping you. I mean, yeah, you can write a reflection and then not care, but then with the freedom you can go home and think, oh, I should actually really do this. Example, research about it and do it, because you have it in the back of your head that I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want to improve at things they're bad at in life, you know?
Do you think it's useful in the future having the skill of reflecting?
Maybe if you're working, for example, an office job, you don't have to write a daily reflection, but I think you should still think about it personally, like in your head, like, oh, so today maybe I should get better at doing this, so you know for next time you should focus
Like
on
you should be
expanding
more
on that.
productive, example.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would really base on your career and how your daily life goes. So you could say, currently after school, you would say, oh, what did I do good today? When you're in bed, you could think, okay, so I played video games, I ate, I didn't study, so for tomorrow maybe I should study and play less video games. No?
I think, yeah, it's good to bring it into our lives, like doesn't always have to be formal, but just in our minds we should always be reflecting.
I think that
on what we've done.
it's so easy that anyone could do it. It's not really like it's an attribute on the IB learner profile, but if someone doesn't know about it, they would still have the ability to reflect on it, because that's basic knowledge, thinking about your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, actually talking about this, I want to replace my open-minded with reflecting. I think reflecting is a better attribute than being open-minded. Well, they're all great, but reflecting is such a great skill that you can take with you into the future. And honestly, thinking about it, like our future careers, I could do anything and find it interesting. Like I could be a biologist. I could be a yeah, yeah. Like I could work with math, like predicting the future mathematically, and all those stuff. I could do almost anything and find it interesting. I could work with design, all this stuff, and just learn more and more about it. So, to be honest, I don't know what to really learn more about, because now I'm learning about everything, but I really want to go deeper into something. But
So-
I find everything interesting.
I find I'm in the same position where I don't know what to do, and because from these 9 years you're learning multiple subjects. It's at a point where you don't know which one to take, because that just bases your career. Because next year for us, we would have to choose 6 subjects, 3 which you go in depth and 3 which you have it on the side. And the ones you go in depth, that shortens your capacity of what jobs you can take in the future and what your career can be. If, let's say you take art, physics and math. Those are the 3 typical subjects that you would take to go to further studies if you want to do architecture, for example. But when you do that, you can't be a chemist because you didn't take chemistry. You can't be an English literature
Poet.
You can't. No, you can't be a poet. You can't be someone related to history if you.
You can't work on a museum.
Yeah, exactly. You got exactly, because you focused on those subjects, and that gives your I don't know the word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That shortens your options. So think about that. Do you think that our school helps us get the idea of what we want to become in the future?
I personally don't have any idea of what I want to become, and I think that
Same.
it's quite a common case for children, not only in college but after graduating, that they don't really know what they want to work with when they grow up. But I think with the IB system, we have the ability to.
Do you think
Go
even
into
that, like the school has a career counselor over here to help us, career advisor, to help us with the school, with what we want to become? Do you think that even with that in the back of your head, you still don't know what you want to become? And do you think that having the fact that next year you have to choose 3 main subjects and you don't know what to do, is that a burden on you of choosing what you want to become in life, even if you don't know?
Yeah, because looking now at my computer, for example, in the United Kingdom and United States, most kids, when they were asked, they wanted to become a vlogger or YouTuber, for example. So I think when you switch onto the gymnasium, I don't think it's a burden, but it really, you have to make a choice of what job you want to, or what career path you want to go in the future.
I think thinking about vloggers, that's just based on like influence of your daily life, and for example YouTube, what you want to watch, what you watch on YouTube. Thinking that not like 1% of the people who dream to be a YouTuber actually become successful.
Not even 1%.
Probably like 0.1, because it's such a wide platform where you're so underrated, and one blow up will spark you.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then for the rest of your life you're going to be doing that, not knowing. And even after asking that, do you think the schools help the children think that, oh, YouTube isn't really a reality?
I don't really think they bring social media platforms such as YouTube into learning, but I think that nowadays we have too many children that want to go down a career path that is very unlikely for them to actually become. So in China, according to Business Insider, 56% of children want to become an astronaut, and of course, not 56% of those children are going to become an astronaut. So I think everyone needs some job to be able to fall back on.
And then thinking about in the future how things are going to change. Example, people already, like, you've seen the things about living on Mars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Thinking their children, and by the time they grow up, imagine people are living on Mars already. What's the point of being an astronaut? You can't even be an astronaut because
True.
we would already be in outer space. It would be astronauts going like out to galaxy and stuff like that.
And as of 2017, only 11 Chinese astronauts have been in this space, and that's like, what is that in percentage? It's like a really, really tiny fraction.
So realistically, Walter's not going to be a pro esports player.
No.
No.
But we have too many children nowadays aspire to be the same thing, like vlogging, YouTube, or esports, and it's
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going off topic right now. It's a great way to finish our podcast, and thank you everyone for listening. We actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
Did you guys enjoy it?
First time I did, yeah.
Yeah, first time doing the podcast, and we will soon be back with a new podcast talking about the environmental changes in COVID-19, how that affects sustainability. Yeah, we're also probably going to switch to having face cams, having it done with a camera, so you guys can see our studio and us doing it.
So it's more personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, to keep on doing this podcast, and yeah, thank you.